Good evening, students. Today I have come up with the new chapter of Class 12th Business Studies. And the second chapter of Class 12th Business Studies is Principles of Management. Right? Before giving the descriptions regarding the principles of management, let us discuss and introduce. Let me discuss and introduce this chapter to you. As we have discussed in the previous chapter, management is a science consisting of certain principles. A principle is a fundamental statement of truth that provides a guide to thought and action. It establishes a cause and effect relationship between two or more variables, right? The principles of management lay down guidelines for the practice of management. Management principles enable the managers to approach various problems systematically and scientifically and help them in taking scientific decisions to meet changing or prevailing conditions. Management principles are derived on the basis of observation and analysis of events which managers used to face in their working in actual practice and by conducting experiments or experimental studies. Principles of management are universal in nature. That means they are applicable everywhere, equally important for everywhere. That is, they are applicable to all types of organizations, irrespective of the type or size of the organization, such as any of the business organization can adapt these principles of management. Educational institutions like our school, your school, okay, military, hospitals, etc. That means wherever you have to deal with group of people or group of activities, there you can apply these principles of management. However, management principles are not a set of rigid prescriptions. Do you understand? That means they are not fixed. That means they can be changed according to the need of the environment, according to the need of the organization. So that means they are not a set of rigid prescriptions on how to manage. They can be applied differently under different situations. They can be modified also by managers to meet the need of the situation. So, in this chapter, you are going to learn regarding the study made by different management experts like Frederick Winslow Taylor, F.W. Taylor, and Henry Fayol have studied management in depth and have contributed towards the study of management as a discipline. Fayol emphasized on administrative principles to increase the organizational efficiency, whereas Taylor, F.W. Taylor, gave the concept of scientific management to increase the workers' efficiency working in a factory or in a shop floor situation. Okay? So before moving ahead towards the principles, actual principles of administrative management or administrative principles of management and scientific principles of management and techniques introduced by Taylor, let us discuss how these principles of management are different from the principles of pure science, right? Okay, so that what we have to learn is the difference between the principles of management and principles of pure science. Okay, so that means how they are different. Okay, I have made this board ready for you to write the notes. Okay, you copy them, but before copying them, let me give you a brief description of these 4 points which I have written on the board. Okay, so management principles are the first difference. The first difference is that management principles are related with dealing with human behavior. Okay, so thus they need to be used very creatively. Fine. Second thing is that management principles are not rigid. Fine. They are not rigid. Rigid means fixed as the principles of pure science. Okay. So as they can be changed or modified according to the changes happening in the business environment or the situation in the organization, prevailing situation. Fine. And the third point is that management principles cannot be tested in labs. Like the principles of science you can check in laboratories, in science labs. Okay. But you cannot check these principles of management in physical labs. Fine. Because here you are dealing with human behavior, not human being. You are dealing with human behavior. And the fourth and very very important point of difference is that the application of the same principle in different situation results in different results. Okay, that means if suppose there is one principle, unity of command. Okay, if you will apply unity of command on a particular situation where you have to deal with communication, routine communication, so that will go smoothly. Okay, but in emergency condition, unity of command will be disturbed. Fine. So that means application of the same principle in different situation results in different results. Fine. So 4 points we have learned. Number one, management principles are related with human behavior. Fine. So they have to be used very cautiously and creatively. Okay. Second thing is that management principles are not rigid. They are not fixed as the principles of pure science. They can be changed, modified according to the prevailing situation or business environment. Fine. And third is that management principles cannot be tested in laboratories. And fourth and the important one was application of same principle in different situation result different results. Fine. What the same I have written here, that management principles are related with dealing with human behavior, thus they need to be applied creatively. Fine. Second, management principles are not rigid principles of pure science as they can be modified or changed as per the prevailing situation or actual situation or business environment, changing business environment, political, social, legal, technological, economic. Fine. Third is that management principles cannot be tested in laboratories. Fine. Then application of the same principle in different situation results in different results. Okay. Fine. The outcome of application will be different all the time. That means last one. Fine. Please note down. So after knowing the difference between the principles of management and principles of pure science, let us discuss how the principles of management are different from techniques of management. Okay, before discussing about the techniques of management, let me give you a key or a note that techniques of management are firstly propounded by F.W. Taylor, okay, which are accompanying the principles of scientific management. Fine. So, how principles of management are different from techniques of management? Students, principles of management are just general guidelines to take some decision, to come at certain point of decision making or actions. Fine. But if we talk about techniques of management are the methods which need to be followed to accomplish desired goal. A particular thing has to be handled in a particular manner. That particular manner is method. Okay, and that method to deal with that particular situation is technique. Okay, so management principles are just the guidelines in decision making or actions. Okay, whereas techniques are the methods which need to be adopted or followed to accomplish desired results or goals. Fine. So this is what is the difference between the principles of management and techniques of management. Okay. Now let us discuss how these principles of management are different from values, human values, okay, which everybody possess. Okay, whether they are following management principles or not to deal with the organization or the market, okay, they have certain human values or business values, their own terms and conditions to deal with the situations or individuals. So how they are different from values? Okay, values are basically something which are acceptable or desirable by individuals, whereas principles of management are the basic truth or just guidelines for human behavior. Okay, values are the rules for behavior commonly practiced by individuals in society, whereas the principles of management are the technical rules, not general, technical rules framed after very deep or intensive research in that particular work situation. Third difference is that principles of management include values for effective fulfillment. Principles of management include values for effective fulfillment of social, ethical and other responsibilities of a business organization. Okay, whatsoever is the objective of the business organization, management principles help the organization in fulfilling those responsibilities or obligations, whether those are concerned with society or ethics of dealing with the employees, with the customer, with the stakeholders of the business enterprise. Right? So these 3 points suggest that how principles of management are different from values. One thing, that values are something which are acceptable or desirable of individuals, whereas principles of management are the basic truth or guidelines for human behavior. Fine? Then values are the rules for behavior. Okay, rules for behavior commonly practiced by individuals in society. But principles of management are technical rules. Rules for behavior, here technical rules, framed after intensive or deep research in different work situations. Then the last is that the principles of management include values for effective fulfillment of social and ethical responsibility of business enterprise. That means at last values accompanied are combined with the principles of management to give strength of society, so that the business can be able to fulfill the responsibility towards the society, towards the employees and the other stakeholders of the enterprise. Okay, please note down. Now let us see what is the nature or characteristics of these principles of management. Okay, so there are 7 basic characteristics of principles of management highlighted in NCERT, also in different management journals. Okay, number 1 is general guidelines. Second, formed by practice and experimentation. Third, contingent, flexible, universal applicability, cause and effect relationship, and behavioral. Fine. So we will go one by one. Okay, I am giving you description and then we'll discuss the notes about it. Okay, so why they are said general guidelines? Students, basically the principles of management are general guidelines to managerial action, but do not provide ready-made solution to all managerial problems. Okay, that means if you apply these principles of management, or situations will come in the organizational working. Okay, but application of these principles of management doesn't mean that they will have a permanent solution for those situations. Okay, because they are just general guidelines to deal with this situation. Okay, they are not ready-made solutions for all the managerial problems. So this is so because of this, real business situations are very complex and dynamic and are a result of many factors. You can predict some of the factors of a particular situation, why that particular situation is happening. Okay, but you cannot predict all the factors at a time. And principles used to guide you to deal with some of the factors. Rest you have to deal, or managers have to deal according to their own creativity and intelligence about that particular situation. Fine. So that is why they are general guidelines. They are not ready-made solutions for every problem of the management. Fine. Second thing is that they are formed by practice and experimentation. Okay. Question comes in mind that how these principles then made. How these management experts like Henry Fayol, F.W. Taylor made these principles. So management principles are not developed overnight. They are formed by observation, experimentation, personal experiences of the managers. So that is why how they are made. One, by observation and experimentation, and second, by personal experiences of the managers. Fine. Third thing comes is the contingent. Okay. Contingent means situational. They are general guidelines. Suppose if you apply the general principles of management, there are 14 principles. That doesn't mean you will apply all these 14 principles in a sequence. Okay. This is one of the characteristics, that they are contingent. Contingent means situational. According to the prevailing situation, you can apply them. Okay. It is not necessary to apply all the 14 principles of management at one go. Okay. So the application of management principles is contingent or depending upon the prevailing situation at a particular point of time. Fine. So the application of these principles has to be changed as per the requirement. Right? The application of these principles can be changed according to the requirement. Fine. Then is flexible. That means they are not rigid. We have discussed. Okay. Management principles are not rigid. Rigid prescriptions which have to be followed absolutely or exactly in the manner they are said. They are flexible enough and can be modified by the managers when the situation so demands. Fine. So that means not rigid prescriptions. Okay, now comes the fifth one, universal applicability. How they are universally applicable? So universally applicability of management principles means that the principles of management are applicable to all types of organization, whether they are business or non-business, small, medium or large, business organizations or any other non-business organization can also use these principles. Okay, if they are used in business organizations at all levels and at all the time. Okay, that means required everywhere. They are required everywhere. Fine. Then sixth, cause and effect relationship. Very, very important to note. The principles of management, listen very carefully. The principles of management establish a cause and effect relationship. A cause and effect relationship so that they can be used in similar situations in a large number of cases. Okay? They tell the managers if a particular principle is applied in a particular situation, what may be the likely effects or results of it. Okay? The principles of management are less than perfect science, as they mainly apply to human behavior. In real life, or you can say in real life situations are not identical all the time. They are not as same as they were previously. So accurate cause and effect relationship may be difficult to establish. Okay? Fine. Let me repeat. One thing what we discussed under this cause and effect relationship is that the principles of management establish a cause and effect relationship so that they can be used in similar situation in large number of cases. One thing. Then these principles, or they tell the managers if a particular principle is applied in a particular situation, what may be the likely effect. Second thing. Okay. And third thing is that principles of management are less than perfect science. They mainly apply to human behavior. Third thing. as real life situations are not identical or same as previous. So accurate cause and effect relationship may be difficult to establish. Fine. Now the last one, behavioral. Why behavioral? Okay. Why? Because principles of management deals with human beings, human behavior. Okay. Management principles are mainly behavioral in nature because they aimed at influencing the behavior of human beings. Principles of management enable a better understanding of relationship between human and material resources in accomplishing organizational targets. Fine. So that means principles are made to deal with human behaviors. Okay. Human behavior cannot be predicted all the time. It basically shows the relationship between the human and material resources so that the organization can accomplish its goals effectively and efficiently. Fine. So this is what is about the introduction part of principles of management. Okay. What is basically principles of management says, how they are derived, how they are different from the principles of pure science, how they are different from the human values or values, okay, and what are the nature or characteristics of principles of management. This is what we discussed today, right? So till my next session I am signing off. Okay, thank you, be safe, have a nice day, thank you.